neck and neck. Virginia's candidates for governor are racing across the state, and now a mad rush to win voters in the final hours of the campaign. A race this close is not good news for the Democrats.
Well, still, a Republican hasn't won statewide office in Virginia since 2009. So can Glenn Youngkin pull off a victory? Dale Hurd has the latest on an election that national party leaders and political analysts are watching closely.
The Virginia governor's race has turned into a referendum on Joe Biden, as well as former President Donald Trump, and is being watched by experts as a very reliable indicator about how Americans are feeling about the state of the nation.
Are you guys ready to win or what?
The race pits political newcomer and Republican businessman Glenn Youngkin against former governor Democrat Terry McAuliffe.
Right now, we have a big lead in the early vote.
Both candidates are crisscrossing the Commonwealth in a final sprint toward tomorrow's election. McAuliffe says he's running on education.
I got big, bold plans. I'm leading on education. That's the reason why I'm running.
But if you watch McAuliffe's ads, he appears to be running against Donald Trump.
What kind of governor would Glenn Youngkin be?
President Trump represents so much of why I'm running.
And like Donald Trump, Glenn Youngkin refuses to take coronavirus seriously.
Then over the weekend, McAuliffe changed his tune and said the election is not about Trump. Youngkin has taken aim at the teaching of critical race theory in Virginia public schools and the issue of parents' rights in education.
We will teach all history, but what we will not do, we will not teach our children to view everything through a lens of race and divide them into baskets and then make them compete against one another and steal dreams.
At a Youngkin campaign stop Friday in Charlottesville, a small group of demonstrators dressed as Unite the Right extremists with tiki torches posed as Youngkin supporters. The McAuliffe campaign seized on the incident until it was learned it was a hoax by the anti-Trump Lincoln Project. Recent polls show McAuliffe up by 1, but one outlier poll by Fox News shows Youngkin up by 8. CBN News chief political analyst David Brody says that in Virginia, where a Republican hasn't won a statewide office since 2009, the race should not be this close.
The truth of the matter is, as it relates to Terry McAuliffe, he's a well-known guy. Everybody knows him in Virginia, the former governor. Joe Biden's the president. You would think that Virginia is blue, and it's been becoming more and more blue as the years have gone on, and he's in a tight race. That is not good news for McAuliffe.
Virginia has a long history of voting against the party in the White House when choosing its governor. And with Joe Biden's low approval numbers, there are signs rank-and-file Democrats aren't as energized to vote.
I do think that there is an enthusiasm gap with the Democrats. I think a lot of people are just kind of frazzled and burnt out with everything that's going on.
Democrats are disillusioned and therefore are less enthusiastic about voting. That is really entirely the reason why this is tied.
No matter who wins, Virginians will elect their first lieutenant governor that is a woman and a woman of color, either Democrat Hala Ayala or Republican Winsome Sears. In the only other gubernatorial race Tuesday, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy leads in his re-election bid against Republican challenger Jack Ciattarelli. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
I don't know if people are tired of voting. I voted on Saturday and the line was out the door. I had to wait an hour to actually get to the voting booth. So looks like we're going to have a very big turnout. Well, CBN Washington correspondent Tara Mergener joins us now for more on the race. So Tara, what seems to be behind the surge for Youngkin?
Right. Well, first, Gordon, to mention that as of Friday, both Real Clear Politics and 538 still have Youngkin ahead. So it's super interesting. And of course, that outlier poll from Fox News, the 8 points. So simply put, the belief is that what has pulled Youngkin ahead really at the tail end of the race is education. This is a national issue. This is a local issue. Youngkin says parents have been calling him, emailing him, texting him, not just in Virginia, but all over the country saying, we need someone to stand up for us. So certainly that has made a big difference because schools have long been a big issue in gubernatorial campaigns, but this has really brought this home for Youngkin, it appears. So not to mention that unforced error that McAuliffe had at the last debate, saying that parents really don't have a say, shouldn't have a say in what kids are learning at school. So, you know, Virginia Republicans have found an issue here that has united the base, and we're going to see very soon whether Youngkin really pulls this thing over the finish line. But education truly is the key here.
Well, I've got to ask, is this a vote, if you will, on Joe Biden and his policies? Or is it more of a vote that McAuliffe forgot that parents and grandparents actually go to the polls and vote? Did he just forget that? And did he stumble so badly that it's all on him?
Well, McAuliffe's strategy in the beginning was COVID. It was vaccine mandates, and education just didn't seem to be a thing until that stumble. Meantime, you've got Joe Biden really plummeting in the polls. But again, going back to that education, some parents are just so upset about this that seems to have really slowed down McAuliffe and raised a lot of flags. So, you know, Dale in his piece mentioned the enthusiasm gap. Republicans have the enthusiasm. Joe Biden is slipping in the polls. A lot of Democrats surely are not enthusiastic about all the things that have gone wrong in his several months as president, from Afghanistan to the border to vaccine mandates. So the feeling is it could be a referendum on President Biden, and surely Democrats are very concerned about that. Also, interestingly, McAuliffe had made a lot of this campaign, as Dale mentioned, about President Trump, and this weekend he kind of walked that back at a rally and said this is not about President Trump. So it'll be interesting to see what effect President Biden has had on this campaign. Could he still win, and what happens tomorrow?
What about the rest of the Republican ticket? It looks like this could actually have an effect on the down ballot races and could potentially change the makeup of the Virginia's House of Delegates. So tell us about that.
Well, for sure, Virginia has really leaned left in recent years. And if Youngkin pulls this off, the Democrats are going to be very concerned. It's probably going to reverberate nationally and here in Virginia. And if Youngkin pulls us off, it's going to kind of kill that momentum for Democrats potentially. So for the first time in 20 years, Democrats have both parts of the General Assembly and the governor's mansion, the trifecta. That all happened in 2019 when they pulled that off. So if Youngkin pulls this off and it kills some of the momentum for the Democrats, some seats are expected to flip in the midterms, and they're only defending something like 5 seats. So certainly Democrats are very concerned, and Republicans, especially here in Virginia, are very excited about the possibilities right now.
All right. Well, thanks for the insight. Voters in Virginia and New Jersey, go to the polls tomorrow. You can watch our special election night coverage across CBN News on all our digital platforms. You can watch us on the CBN News app or on the CBN Family app or on YouTube. So if you want to have county by county results and see the importance of this election, we're going to be doing it tomorrow night, election night, November 2nd.